My name's Alex. I'm an associate consultant for Focus Education. In terms of the progression, then, we've thought very carefully about the substantive knowledge and we've made this really refined. There's a danger sometimes to try and teach too much to the children. So, for each unit of learning, you can see here in year 5, there are 3 units that we've selected here that have very clearly only got 4 or 5 key pieces of knowledge that we want the children to take away by the end of it in terms of the substantive knowledge, the topic specific, the unit specific knowledge. There will be other learning that takes place, of course. There will be other elements of those units that the children will go away and research themselves or learn about through your teaching. But by the end of the unit, what we want to make sure they're really clear on is those key pieces of knowledge from a substantive point of view. What we've then also done alongside this is developed a disciplinary knowledge progression. So for each year group, you can see very clearly the expectations under the different areas of, in this example, history. So we've got timelines, chronology, evidence-based interpretation, and significance as our 4 key areas for history. But for each year group, all the way up to year 6, you can see the kind of historical knowledge that you want the children to develop across the year. So the disciplinary knowledge is the knowledge that makes the children historians. It's not specific to one unit. It's knowledge that they will develop across the year, and we've mapped this out for you for each year group. What we've also thought very carefully about, as I said at the start, is developing golden threads through our curriculum. So we wanted to make it really clear some of the links across different units of learning. So we've identified some of the key concepts in history and in geography that we feel apply very much so to lots of our units of learning that we've developed. And we've made a point of highlighting those to teachers through the use of these images and these symbols to ensure that actually it's really easy to start seeing which units link, for example, for a concept of monarchy, where that comes into your history teaching in different units and where it doesn't. To model how we've drawn all this together, every unit has an overview. So you can see there, I've just mentioned the golden threads. So along the top, you've got all 6 of the history golden threads there, but the ones that are highlighted and popping out and have been illuminated with that purple glow, they're the ones that are present as part of this unit of learning. The ones that are faded out, it means that they don't necessarily come into it as prominently based on the content of the unit. You might look at that unit and want to make some adaptations, and that's fine, and maybe it becomes more prominent, and that's entirely up to you as teachers and as a school, but this is just a starting point for you. Also, within that, every unit is led by an overarching inquiry question. So we've got, why was ancient Egypt civilization ahead of its time here? And that is then developed into your components with 4 or 5 sub-inquiry questions. And this is the same for history, geography, science, and our new DT units that we've developed recently too. That's taken from your substantive knowledge. So the key 5 pieces of substantive knowledge are turned into your inquiry questions and might be worded slightly differently, but that's essentially where they come from. And that's to ensure that it's at the forefront. The key knowledge is at the forefront of every unit of learning that you're teaching through the learning challenge. And then finally, your disciplinary knowledge that applies to that unit of learning is there. It's taken from the progression for the year groups, so in this case, year 4. Certain elements might have been worded slightly differently to be more specific to the unit at different points. But essentially, the disciplinary knowledge is largely the same across the units that you will teach within that year group.